Boeing is about to break a tradition that has lasted more than half a century. Something deeply ingrained in the company's entire operational identity is changing. The Boeing 737 is expanding beyond Renton for the first time since the program began. Let me be precise about this, because the distinction matters. Boeing is not relocating Boeing 737 production away from Renton. The Renton facility remains the primary home of the Boeing 737 program. What Boeing is doing is adding an entirely new Boeing 737 MAX assembly line at a different location. From July 6, 2026, that new line begins operations at the Everett plant. This date confirmation matters because the project has been years in the making. Industry observers have known this expansion was coming for some time. Now there is a firm date attached to it. July 6, 2026. The location carries enormous symbolic weight. Everett has traditionally been Boeing's wide-body production facility. This is where the Boeing 747, Boeing 767, 777, and Boeing 787 have been built. Everett represents the home of Boeing's largest aircraft. Now, for the first time, a narrow-body Boeing 737 assembly line is being installed there. The move repurposes space previously dedicated to the Boeing 747 program. The iconic jumbo jet ended production this decade after more than 5 decades of manufacturing. That created available capacity in the Everett facility. Rather than letting valuable production space sit idle, Boeing is converting it to Boeing 737 MAX assembly. The new line, known as the Everett North Line, marks the first time the Boeing 737 family has been assembled outside Renton since the program launched. The line occupies bays formerly used for jets like the Boeing 747. The transition from building 4-engine jumbo jets to single-aisle narrowbodies in the same physical space represents a remarkable evolution in Boeing's manufacturing footprint. This is genuinely a sign of the times. The era of large 4-engine aircraft has ended. The future belongs to efficient twin-engine designs and high-volume narrowbody production. Boeing repurposing Boeing 747 production space for Boeing 737 assembly captures that industry-wide shift perfectly. Boeing has implemented careful measures to make this transition successful. The company designed the North Line to replicate the production systems used at Renton. Specific areas have been retooled to reduce the learning curve risk. The goal is making the transition to a functioning North Line not just seamless, but also as safe as possible. After the manufacturing quality problems that plagued Boeing in recent years, safety and quality control during this expansion are paramount. Boeing cannot afford to introduce a new production line that generates defects or quality escapes. The entire credibility of Boeing's recovery depends on demonstrating it can scale production while maintaining quality. The North Line represents more than just a landmark moment for Boeing. It is a critical progression for the Boeing 737 MAX program. The aircraft's long-term production scaling depends on this expansion. Boeing was recently approved to increase Boeing 737 production to 47 aircraft per month. That figure should rise to 52 in 2027, assuming no significant problems emerge between now and then. The long-term ambition pushes toward 60-plus jets monthly. Reaching those production rates is essential for Boeing to make a genuine impact on the order backlog that has expanded dramatically in recent years. Here is the fundamental problem the North Line addresses. The Boeing 737 MAX is in strong demand. Orders have flowed in consistently, but output has not matched that demand. As a result, the order book has spiraled. The gap between orders received and aircraft delivered keeps widening. For Boeing, the North Line is not merely an exciting business development. It is genuinely necessary if the company wants to work through this backlog and deliver aircraft to customers who have been remarkably patient. Airlines ordered aircraft years ago that have not yet been delivered. The North Line provides the additional capacity needed to accelerate those deliveries. The Boeing 737 MAX 10 sits at the center of the North Line strategy. The new line will focus on producing this variant, the largest member of the MAX family. The Boeing 737 MAX 10 remains uncertified, but customers are waiting eagerly to adopt it. Airlines like Ryanair and United are specifically waiting for the Boeing 737 MAX 10. The aircraft will serve as their high-density workhorse across their networks. The MAX 10's larger capacity makes it ideal for dense routes where airlines need maximum passengers per departure. However, the repeated certification delays have complicated planning significantly. Airlines cannot finalize fleet plans around an aircraft that keeps slipping its certification timeline. Boeing cannot fully optimize production around a variant that has not received regulatory approval. The certification delays have created cascading planning challenges throughout the industry. The North Line's construction has been relatively straightforward. Essentially, Boeing built a clone of the Renton factory at Everett. The production systems mirror what already works at the primary Boeing 737 facility. This approach reduces risk by replicating proven manufacturing processes rather than introducing entirely new methods. The most fascinating logistical element involves how components reach the new line. Fuselage sections will arrive transported by rail and road, similar to the existing supply chain. But Boeing has developed a new wing transport tool capable of ferrying partially completed wings from Renton to Everett for final assembly. This wing transport solution addresses a specific challenge. Wing production capacity exists at Renton. Rather than duplicating all wing manufacturing at Everett immediately, Boeing can produce wings at Renton and transport them to the North Line. These initiatives, while not revolutionary, simplify the production and delivery process in a sustainable manner that benefits Boeing across the long term. If Boeing genuinely wants to scale production to its ambitious targets, logistics solutions like this become essential. The wing transport tool positions Everett to integrate as seamlessly as possible into the broader MAX family production system. Boeing plans to begin production at a deliberately low rate when the North Line opens. The initial output will consist of a small batch of Boeing 737s built under close coordination with the Federal Aviation Administration. These early aircraft serve a dual purpose. They are genuine production aircraft, but they also function as test subjects, demonstrating the new line's conformity, structure, and safety. The FAA will assess how the North Line performs across its production phases. Boeing must prove that aircraft built at Everett meet identical quality and safety standards to those built at Renton. This regulatory validation process is critical given Boeing's recent quality history. Once the FAA accepts the initial batch of aircraft, Everett will scale its monthly production rates upward. Those figures will then be included in Boeing's monthly delivery data. Until that validation completes, the North Line operates in a probationary capacity, proving its capabilities. Boeing understands that the North Line's full purpose cannot be realized without Boeing's 737 MAX 10 certification. The line was specifically designed to produce the MAX 10. Without certification, the line cannot fulfill its intended role. Current forecasting suggests the Boeing 737 MAX 10 should be certified by the end of 2026. However, this timeline has been predicted before. The MAX 10 certification has been forecast on multiple previous occasions without materializing. Each prediction proved premature as new challenges emerged. That said, the program appears closer to certification now than it has been at any previous point. The recent FAA proposal to streamline certification procedures could accelerate the timeline. The brake energy testing completed successfully. The technical work continues advancing. Cautious optimism seems more justified now than during previous certification predictions. The North Line represents an exciting component of the Boeing 737 MAX 10's eventual introduction into service. As the variant approaches certification, having dedicated production capacity ready to scale becomes increasingly valuable. Boeing is positioning the infrastructure to capitalize immediately once certification arrives. For more than half a century, the Boeing 737 belonged exclusively to Renton. That singular association is now ending. The aircraft that defined Boeing's narrowbody dominance is expanding into the facility that built Boeing's widebody legends. July 6, 2026 marks that historic transition